Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. If you enjoy these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below the video and also the bell for more. Welcome to our online church, a congregation made up of many from around the world. No offering is necessary. Subscribing and watching videos will keep us alive under God's watchful eyes. Today, we are talking about the biblical names starting with C in the Bible. This will be part 1. Caesar. Translation of the name Caesar first recorded in the first book, translated to Yoruba, the Bible. The Caesar in the Bible refers to Emperor Augustus, who was referred to as Caesar. It was not used as the title for kings, as it did not reach the language till the late 19th century, and was not widely known till the 20th century. The main title for king was Kabiozi, meaning one who cannot be questioned. Canaan. Canaan is mentioned in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the book of Genesis, the book of Jubilees, and the genealogy of Jesus, given in Luke chapter 3, verse 36. In the New Testament, he is described as the son of Arpachshad and father of Selah, who lived in the time between Noah and Abraham. The post-Diluvian Canaan does not appear in the Masoretic text, the most common Hebrew version of Genesis, where Arpachshad is noted as the father of Selah. He is also omitted from the writings of the Jewish historian Josephus. Early Christian writers, Irenaeus and Eusebius of Caesarea, believed his presence to be an error, mainly on the basis of his omission from the Masoretic text, and many subsequent interpreters followed this. However, Helen Jacobus has argued that the omission from the Masoretic text is deliberate. Despite his name being omitted from the Masoretic text, a substantial number of traditions about this other Canaan exist in the history of literature. Cain. Cain is a biblical figure in the book of Genesis within Abrahamic religions. He is the eldest brother of Abel and the firstborn son of Adam and Eve, the first couple within the Bible. He was a farmer who gave an offering of his crops to God. God, however, was not pleased and favored Abel's offering over Cain's. Out of jealousy, Cain killed his brother, for which he was punished by God with the curse and mark of Cain. He had several children, starting with Enoch, including Lamech. The narrative never explicitly states Cain's motive for murdering his brother, God's reason for rejecting Cain's sacrifice, or details on the identity of Cain's wife. Some traditional interpretations consider Cain to be the originator of evil, violence, or greed. According to Genesis, Cain was the first human born and the first murderer. Caiaphas. Joseph ben Caiaphas, 14 BC to 46 AD, known simply as Caiaphas, in the New Testament, was the Jewish high priest who, according to the Gospels, organized a plot to kill Jesus. He famously presided over Sanhedrin trial of Jesus. The primary sources for Caiaphas' life are the New Testament and the writings of Josephus. Josephus records that he was made high priest by the Roman procurator Valerius Gratus after Simon ben Camithus had been deposed. Caleb. Caleb is a figure who appears in the Hebrew Bible as a representative of the tribe of Judah during the Israelites' journey to the Promised Land. A reference to him is also found in the Quran, although his name is not mentioned. Candace. Candace was the Masoretic term for the sister of the king of Cush, who due to the matrilineal succession would bear the next heir, making her a queen mother. She had her own court, probably acted as a landholder, and held a prominent secular role as regent. Contemporary Greek and Roman sources treated it incorrectly as a name. The name Candace is derived from the way the word is used in the New Testament, in Acts chapter 8, verse 27. Kareah. Kareah meaning in Hebrew bald, according to the book of Jeremiah, was the father of Johanan and Jonathan, who for a time were loyal to Gedaliah, the Babylonian governor of Jerusalem. Carmi. Carmi refers to two individuals mentioned in the Bible. The fourth son of Reuben, according to Genesis chapter 46 verse 9, Numbers chapter 26 verse 6, and 1 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 3. The son of Zabdi, grandson of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, and the father of Achan, according to Joshua chapter 7 verse 1. He was present at the battle of Jericho. Karshina. Karshina is a name which appears in a list of high-ranking officials in the court of King Ahasuerus in Esther chapter 1 verse 14. It is derived from the Persian Warkasina, meaning wolfish. Chalcol. Chalcol meaning uncertain. He was the brother of Darda, listed in 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 31, as an example of a very wise man who is nevertheless not as wise as Solomon, another person with the same Hebrew name, listed in 1 Chronicles as the son of Zerah, the son of Judah, son of Jacob. Sharon. Sharon is a man in the book of Genesis, in the Hebrew Bible. He died in Ur of Chaldees, was a son of Terah, and brother of Abraham, through his son Lot. Sharon was the ancestor of the Moabites and Ammonites, and through his daughter Milcah, he was ancestral to the Arameans. Chedorlaomer. Chedorlaomer is a king of Elam in Genesis chapter 14. Genesis portrays him as allied with 3 other kings, campaigning against 5 Canaanite city-states in response to an uprising in the days of Abraham. Chelal. Chelal is a person listed in Ezra as among those who married foreign women. Chellu. Chellu is the name given in Ezra chapter 10 verse 35 for one of the men who married foreign women. Chelubai. Chelubai is Caleb, who is a figure who appears in the Hebrew Bible as a representative of the tribe of Judah during the Israelites' journey to the Promised Land. A reference to him is also found in the Quran, although his name is not mentioned. Chelub. Two individuals by the name of Chelub are mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. A descendant of Judah called brother of Shuha in 1 Chronicles chapter 4 verse 11. In genealogical passage listing descendants of Judah, according to the Encyclopedia Biblica 1899, this Chelub is the biblical figure better known as Caleb. And Ezri, son of Chelub, was an overseer of agricultural work in the time of King David, according to 1 Chronicles chapter 27 verse 26. Chemarims. In the King James Version of the Bible, people known as Chemarims are mentioned in Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 4 as people to be punished by God for their associations with idolatry. In most later translations, the noun is treated as a common noun, meaning idolatrous priests or something similar. The underlying Hebrew term also appears in 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 5 and Hosea chapter 10 verse 5, and its precise meaning is not known. Shamash. Shamash was the god of Moabites. He is most notably attested in the Mesha Stele and the Hebrew Bible, while he is most readily associated with the Moabites. According to the book of Judges in chapter 11, verses 23 and 24, he seems to have been the national deity of the Ammonites as well, despite the people's erstwhile patronage of Milcom. Chanana. Chanana is the name of two biblical figures in a genealogical section of Chronicles concerned with the tribe of Benjamin. A Chanana, son of Bilhan, is mentioned. Also, the false prophet Zedekiah is called son of Chanana. Chenaniah. Chenaniah, according to Chronicles, was a Levite leader in the time of David. The Hebrew text is unclear as to whether he was in charge of something to do with singing or with carrying of the ark. Cherith. Cherith is the name of a wadi, or intermittent seasonal stream mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. The prophet Elijah hid himself on the banks of the Cherith and was fed by ravens during the early part of the 3 years drought, which he announced to King Ahab in 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 3. Chileab. Chileab, or Chileab, also known as Daniel, was the second son of David, king of Israel, according to the Bible. He was David's son with his third wife Abigail, widow of Nabal the Carmelite, and is mentioned in 1 Chronicles chapter 3 verse 1 and 2 Samuel chapter 3 verse 3. Unlike the other of David's three elder sons, Amnon, Absalom, and Adonijah, who were important characters in 2 Samuel, Chileab is only named in the first of David's sons, and no further mention is made of him. Though being the second son, Chileab was not a contender for the throne of Israel. Even after the death of his firstborn Amnon, the thirdborn Absalom, and fourthborn Adonijah, he may have died before his father. Later rabbinic traditions name him as one of 4 ancient Israelites who died without sin, the other 3 being Benjamin, Jesse, and Amram. The throne eventually passed to his younger half-brother Solomon. Chileab is known as Deluiah in 2 Samuel in the Septuagint. According to Rashi, Rabbi Isaac said that some questioned whether Abigail was pregnant through David or her first husband Nabal. Therefore, God arranged that Chileab would resemble David. It is possible his name, Chileab, which can be translated perfection of the Father, is a reference to that legend. Chilion. Chilion was one of 2 brothers mentioned in the book of Ruth. He was the son of Elimelech of the tribe of Judah and his wife Naomi. Together with his parents and brother, they settled in the land of Moab during the period of the Israelite judges. On foreign soil, Mahlon married the Moabite convert Ruth in Ruth chapter 4 verse 10, while Chilion married the Moabite convert Orpah. Chimham. Chimham was a servant nominated by Barzillai to accompany King David to Gilgal. During his return to Jerusalem after the death of Absalom in 2 Samuel chapter 19 verses 37 to 40. Chislon. Chislon was the father of Elidad, a prince of the tribe of Benjamin, in Numbers chapter 34 verse 21. Chloe. Chloe was one of many epithets of the goddess Demeter or Demeter. The name appears in the New Testament in 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 11 in the context of the house of Chloe, a leading early Christian woman in Corinth, Greece. Christ. Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus Christ, was a first-century Jewish preacher for Judea. He is the central figure of Christianity, the world's largest religion. Most Christians believe he is the incarnation of God the Son and the awaited Messiah as prophesied in the Old Testament. Virtually all modern scholars of antiquity agree that Jesus existed historically. Although the quest for the historical Jesus has yielded some uncertainty on the historical reliability of the Gospels, and on how closely the Jesus portrayed in the Bible reflects the historical Jesus. As the only records of Jesus' life are contained in the Gospels. Jesus was a Galilean Jew who was baptized by John the Baptist and began his own ministry. His teachings were initially conserved by oral transmission, and he himself was often referred to as rabbi. Jesus debated with fellow Jews on how to best follow God, engaged in healings, taught in parables, and gathered followers. Tradition holds that he was arrested and tried by the Jewish authorities, turned over to the Roman government, and crucified on the order of Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect. After his death, his followers believed he rose from the dead, and the community they formed eventually became the early church. Chushan Rishathaim. According to biblical sources, Chushan Rishathaim, meaning twice evil Cushite, was king of Aram Naharaim, or northwest Mesopotamia, and the first oppressor of the Israelites after their settlement in Canaan. In the book of Judges, God delivers the Israelites into his hand for 8 years in Judges chapter 3 verse 8 as a punishment for polytheism or polytheism. However, when the people of Israel cried out to the Lord, he saved them through Othniel's son of Kenaz in Judges chapter 3 verse 9. Scholars have proposed several explanations for biblical accounts related to this ruler. Cushan may indicate Cushite origins. Rishathaim means double wickedness, evil, or wickedness. The latter was likely a harsh designation used by his Hebrew foes, rather than what this king called himself. Use of it may indicate that the Hebrews had concrete reasons to bear him a grudge, beyond the meager information given in the surviving biblical text. Cleophas. Cleophas was a figure of early Christianity, one of the 2 disciples who encountered Jesus during the road to Emmaus appearance in Luke chapter 24 verses 13 to 32. Coniah. Coniah was the 19th and penultimate king of Judah, who was dethroned by the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar II, in the 6th century BCE, and was taken into captivity. He was the son and successor of King Jehoiakim and the grandson of King Josiah. Most of what is known about Jeconiah or Coniah is found in the Hebrew Bible. Records of Jeconiah's existence have been found in Iraq, such as the Jehoiakim's Rations tablets. These tablets were excavated near the Ishtar Gate in Babylon and have been dated to 592 BCE. Written in cuneiform, they mention Jeconiah and his 5 sons as recipients of food rations in Babylon. Cornelius. Cornelius was a Roman centurion who was considered by Christians to be the first Gentile to convert to the faith, as related in Acts of the Apostles. The baptism of Cornelius is an important event in the history of the early Christian church. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. Remember, if you like these videos, please click the red subscribe button below and click the bell for notifications. God's blessings be upon this message and us all.